charts, paradise, triangle, money. You may associate a different set of words with Bermuda, but I guarantee that when you think of Bermuda, you don't think about wrongful convictions. But today, I want to tell you a story about a wrongful conviction that happened in Bermuda. And without exaggeration, it's one of the most important, most revealing, most eye-opening cases of wrongful convictions in the Caribbean today. In a nutshell, a young man was convicted of a horrible crime based on what seemed to be the surest possible evidence. To many looking on, the case against him seemed airtight. He was convicted, he was sent away for life, and it seemed like he would spend the rest of his life in prison. Until suddenly, almost overnight, everything changed, and the whole case against him collapsed. And it was like the government couldn't get him out of the prison fast enough. But there's more to the story. Because of what they discovered in his case, prosecution in Bermuda had to review more than 400 cases. And up to this summer, a full year later, Bermuda is still grappling with the effects of what they discovered in that case. This is the story of Julian Washington. So it's January 2012. One night, a group of friends are at a house on the island of Bermuda, and one of them decides to step outside. It's like, I don't know if they were a birthday party or they were playing video games. I've read a bit of both, but the long and the short is one of them, a man by the name of Stephen Burgess, steps outside. And when he steps outside, he realizes that somebody was there waiting for him. A man steps out of the shadow. The man is dressed in all black. He's wearing black gloves, a black helmet with a visor, and the man has a gun. And the man starts to fire. He shoots at Stefan and he hits him twice. The shooter then stepped into the house and fired again, hitting another man, a man by the name of Devano. The shooter then jumps on a black motorcycle that's waiting for him. It's like a scooter, and rides off into the night. The man inside the house, Devano, was badly injured, but he would survive. Stephen Burgess, the first man who got shot, died. No doubt the question that was on everybody's mind immediately after was, who was the shooter? You can just imagine the problem that the police and the community faced based on my description. The person wore a helmet with a visor. Nobody had seen the shooter's face. So, what did the police do? They started to round up people. They arrested about 5 men. They interrogated them and let them go. And it probably seemed at first like they were out of luck. But then things started to turn in their favor. But then things eventually made a turn in their favor. The gunman had covered his face and covered his hands, but he had left some clues at the scene. When he fired the gun, it ejected spent casings, and the police were able to collect those casings on the scene. They collected 6 bullet casings, and they swabbed them for DNA and sent them off to a lab to be tested. When they arrested the different suspects that I mentioned, they also swabbed them for DNA and for gunshot residue and sent that off to the lab to be tested as well. They were hopeful, and rightly so, that science would be able to shed a light on the Mr. Man's identity. Now eventually, the police got by the DNA results, and it was beautiful. It was perfect. Couldn't ask for better results. Based on the report, they were able to narrow their search down to one man. They went and they rearrested a 24-year-old young man by the name of Julian Washington. The DNA evidence pointed directly to him. And to the police, it made sense because in addition to the DNA evidence, they also had a theory of motive of why he would want to do it. Julian was friend with a man by the name of Anthony. And Anthony and Stefan, the man who died, had an ongoing quarrel or feud. There was an altercation, the court said, between Anthony and Stefan. So if you're thinking tit for tat, that was tit. The day before the shooting, Anthony was riding his bicycle. Stefan knocked him off and caused Anthony to lose a tooth. Tat. The theory was that Anthony told Julian, who was his brethren, and Julian went and did the shootings to settle the score. The police charged Julian Washington for murdering Stephen Burgess and for the attempted murder of Devon Brimmer, among other things. He insisted from the start that he was innocent. 100% not guilty is how he described it at one point, according to the Royal Gazette, a prominent paper in Bermuda. He said he was innocent, he refused to plead guilty, and so of course it had to go to a trial. At the trial, the evidence that tied him to the crime, the evidence that was like an eyewitness, stronger than an eyewitness seeing him commit the crime, was the DNA evidence. The DNA evidence sunk him. It sunk him because of what it said, because of who said it, because of how the person said it.